Can you see a production company becoming fully self-organized? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think it's possible for every organization. I've seen bakeries, all kind of companies that, you know, it starts with we're not only there for the production and for the money. It's for a higher purpose, and it's for, you know, we have the opportunity not only to create what we are doing, but we also have the opportunity to give people a nice life. And, you know, it sounds strange, but, or perhaps it's not strange, but if I talk with people, like I talked with these people from this bakery, so this Dutch bakery who totally started working with self-organized teams. And these people said, we're not baking bread anymore. We are trying to make the best possible food for people in a way that they enjoy it and they feel it's healthy. And we all the time find out new ways of making bread or new. So it gives them a completely different feeling with the same process. And they feel part of something bigger than just the baking process.
But one of the questions was also related to, because we know you have coaches. So when challenges and conflicts come up in the teams, which I assume inevitably from time to time there will be conflicts. Do you have an overview as to what is the most kind of normal conflict? What are the typical conflicts that can arise in the teams, and how are they dealt with?
Yeah, I think that most conflicts come out of intolerance, I think. So, you know, people have different views on things, and I think that's healthy. But the moment you put yourself above somebody else, so that you think that's the others, your opinion is more important than the others. You see that by people who are normative, they have the problems easier. So then you see that they are judging their colleagues, and then you see that there's coming an imbalance in the relationship. That can go on for a while, because these patterns sometimes they have also a positive side. When we started with teams, sometimes it was useful that there were some people who were putting things forward, and it was also needed. So the innovators or the people, when a team is existing for a longer time, then there needs to be a balance in everybody's contribution, and if that doesn't work, then a few things can happen. It can be a conflict, or even people can start a discussion that somebody should leave the team. But usually when there is this kind of conflict, and it can't be solved very easily, because sometimes they can solve it very easily themselves. But then they usually ask a coach to come in and to look at the process they're going through, and also to ask some advice about, okay, what do you see? Of course, not always everybody is open to support. For some people, can be a threat that somebody's watching. But usually, if you look at how many conflicts do we have, then it's not very much. But we try to, because we know after all these years that this judging and this normative behavior can be a problem. So you can also see it coming. So then the coaches are working a bit more preventive now. But on the other hand, what we try to do is to focus on tolerance. So we said one of the most important things in the team is tolerance. So accept that you are different, and see that as a kind of a strength, that you can use it as a new insight. So it's I think if you look at the perspective from integrative intelligence, if you say, okay, different views on a certain subject can give more information or more opportunities to deal with it.
Wanted to, building on that, there's a few people in the community that wanted to know more about how you approach talent and what is a great Buurtzorg employees. What do you look for? And if you see someone really doing an amazing job, is there then an opportunity to advance or grow to other positions within Buurtzorg, or how do you approach talent development? Is that even a thing?
No. No, I remember that one of my board members was professor in one of the universities in Holland, and he was telling me that I should spend more time on talent management. and then I said, why should I? Yeah, then you have people who can become stars and so on. But what's a star? So you know, when if you say what's a good nurse, then it's not the nurse who's showing up so much or presenting her so much. She's more on the background and letting other people grow. So the generalist who sees and feels what her colleagues, because usually it's a woman, what her colleagues need, and without judging and without steering, but create conditions that their colleagues and as a team that can grow something.
And what about newbies? Because one of the things that are also quite impressive about Buurtzorg is how you have spun off into other sectors, IT, catering, physiotherapy. What do you think is your golden nugget of wisdom here? How could other companies be inspired by that process? How have you done that?
Yeah, I think it's all the time. It starts with, am I feeling the same process? First, rethink and redesign what is possible. So, for example, this mental care part, we said, okay, we had some psychiatrists, and they said, okay, the mental care in Holland is a drama. There are waiting lists half a year. So when you have a severe mental problem, you have to wait for half a year. So that's incredible. And as you know, that the bureaucracy takes 30-40% of your time. Mm. So if we should do it differently, then we can save a lot of time and we can help a lot of people in a much easier and faster way, and also in another way. So, but first it comes with somebody who needs to have a vision what this other way can be. Mm. And what it brings to the patient, in our situation, to the psychiatrist and to the organization. So because you need to develop another organizational framework which makes it possible that these things happen. So this design, when I started with Buurtzorg, I took 1.5 years to rethink about finance, quality, HR, the system I was working in. So my idea was I have to have an answer for all these different kind of questions. Mm. So because I think part of what we do is I think very organic, but to create the conditions to be able to be organic, that needs to know the process, in my opinion. So what I try to show all the time is that it's not just good luck. You need to have an idea about, for example, with this mental care, we said people should be treated at home. And it's not just for practical reason. We said, okay, mental problems usually come back. So psychosis and other problems, they are sometimes coming back. And it is important to also involve the family with the treatment. So we said, why should somebody come to a certain therapy room of the psychiatrist? The psychiatrist should go to the person's house and see how the circumstances are of this person. So I was working with this psychiatrist, Nico, and he has a certain vision on social psychiatry. And there it starts. So then it's, okay, what kind of patterns do it need? And then, of course, you need also to think about how can you bill it? How can you get paid for it? And then, okay, who should be in a team? What's logic? Psychiatrist and a psychiatric nurse, there's quite a big gap in salary. Does these things fit? And then bit by bit, we have the design ready. And then we say, okay, if this is logic for everybody, then it will work day by day, because then people will find the ways in dealing with everything they see, they find, and that's what's happened all the time. So then you see that you don't need to manage it, you don't need to steer it. It's within certain conditions. It's just working on itself and it's self-organized, and then all the time you get new insights. So that's the wonderful thing, because a lot of people are advising me. So when I wrote the piece, it was so funny that some people don't respond on the community, but they send me a message in person. So then they say, but we don't want to sound critical about it, but we don't. I think this, and I said, oh, shall we have a cup of coffee about it and then talk about it, because it's important to share this.
And how do you make decisions? So is there a decision-making process? Do you use tools inspired from sociocracy, or is there any kind of formal procedures in place? Does it, okay, now this is a decision we actually try to implement? Or
I always tend to say that there are not so many decisions. No. So I think it's, sometimes we sit together, like the teams they are supported with what we call the solution-driven interaction method. So we said, when we started, we said it's more useful to focus on the solutions than on the problems. So if you have a struggle in a team, then talk about it and try to find consensus on what you can do. And there are always different options. And if this doesn't work, try something else. And the only thing which is, I think, fundamental is that we say we try to focus on consensus. So that's in this way of solution-driven interaction, solution-driven communication, then it's the best thing is that everybody agrees on what you're going to do. So that's I think a very important principle. If you look at, I think you can call it decisions, but I see it more as insights, that you say, okay, now we sit together with this group of people and this come out of it, and let's do that.